I talked about this scene in Pet Goat 2, which refers to the sequel to 9/11, because when George Bush was sitting in the classroom on 9/11 while the planes were hitting, they were reading a story called The Pet Goat. Well, this video, Pet Goat 2, has a timeline in it, and I spoke about how this scene right here correlates to Rosh Hashanah, the apple and the honey. She's sitting in the eclipse, an eclipse on Rosh Hashanah, and how it also references Easter Island. Well, the eclipse on Rosh Hashanah over Easter Island occurred October the 2nd of 2024. Now, the apple rolls over here. It goes to where there's a 12-3. We've talked about that. Now, I've talked about that for years, how she represents Revelation 12:1 and 2, according to their interpretation. Definitely the L being the 12th letter of the alphabet, C being the 3rd letter of the alphabet, it's encoded information, definitely refers to 12:3. Is that a day when the next pandemic is going to be triggered? That is what I want to talk about in this video, the triggering of the next pandemic. In the Chinese lunar calendar, the October month is considered the month of the rooster, and November is considered the month of the dog. When you look at this scene right here that zooms into this old lady in this phallus lighthouse, you can see she's in some type of locked off quarantine situation. Well, it shows the rooster and the dog. Now, it's a rough looking rooster. It looks like a young rooster without the large flesh comb on top of his head. And the next one is definitely a dog, and that is the correct sequence in the Chinese lunar calendar. October is the month of the rooster. November is the month of the dog. So we potentially have a progression of a timeline: rooster October, dog November, and then it progresses to the right. And then it zooms into her as it passes that, and it has the female, this whole laid down body. It's a composite of half female, half male. So the left side is female. It's a face down female. The right side is male, face up male. And that's why the lighthouse is also a phallus. The video's multi-layered, okay? It's two things. But the face down side is yin, right? Because the Chinese lunar calendar alternates between yin and yang. So the month of the rooster would be yin, the month of the dog would be yang. Then you progress over here and you see female, which is yin. So it goes rooster, yin, dog, yang, female, yin, male, yang, all right? So there's a sequence here of the months. Now, I see this as very important because the scene with the woman sitting in the eclipse that occurred on Rosh Hashanah, also correlated to Easter Island, preceded this. October the 2nd, October being rooster. So as we come up to this sequence, it's very likely that this is talking about this particular year. Now, we are currently in the yin part, headed up to the yang part, where you see this old woman in the lighthouse. Now, it's interesting, as it's zooming in, you see these 3 lights on the arm, right, where you would get an injection, right? It's not exact, but there are 3 lights under the arm, as a person would get 3 injections in their arm. And there was something that happened not too long ago. I can't talk about it because free speech is not a thing on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. There were 2 things, and then there was a booster in addition to that. Well, as it zooms in, you see these lights on the arm. They illuminate even more, right? They light up. They become brighter. You see how it's kind of there, but it's dimmer. And then as it zooms in, boom, they activate. Okay. She's looking out from the yang into the yin month, apparently. But she's in some type of quarantine. Now, again, it's multi-layered. So we have a timeline here where she's looking back into December, right? Because you got the rooster's October, dog's November. Then you get into the next yin month, which is December. So she's looking back into December where those three lights are. Interestingly, 12/3, December the 3rd, is also the 3rd in the lunar calendar, which is not always correspondent. But in December the 3rd, 12/3 will be the 3rd in this yin month as well. In addition to that, notice that the male part is the phallus. Well, they have the genitalia for the woman as well. She's face down, and you can see underneath the phallus, it represents where the woman's private would be at. Well, what do you see there in correlation to the yin part? You see a 12 in the water and a 3 on the woman part. So 12/3 there as well. So it seems that they're really emphasizing December the 3rd, 12/3. And this is after this October the 2nd Rosh Hashanah eclipse that happened over Easter Island. We have the sequence of events here, and it runs up to 12/3. It looks like they're really emphasizing 12/3. So that is a strong watch date.
TAR compares COVID and the vaccine to World War II, and Dr. Anthony Fauci to Adolf Hitler.
Fauci is a criminal. You talk about Hitler? Okay, well.
Whoever Dr. Fauci is in your mind, he is a government bureaucrat, and you're comparing him to Hitler.
Well, I mean,
to Nazis.
I am.
Who killed 6 million Jews.
I think this number is going to be higher.
There's something within the that is being considered as a bioweapon, which is, again, not a new term. There's going to be a payload with some type of pathogen that will be activated by a sequence of 5G bursts. And these will be basically off of 16 to 18 gigahertz frequency, and it will be essentially 3 bursts that will be sequential and last a minute. And those will be designed, that those bursts will actually create a signal that will release this payload that is within the hydrogel component of the. So what exactly is in there? There's supposed to be 3 pathogens, and these 3 pathogens are, I'm not 100% sure what these pathogens are, but one of them is what they call the Marburg virus, which is essentially a pathogen that mimics the hemorrhagic fever, that creates a hemorrhagic fever component. It's similar to that. And according to, if you look that up, it says that there's a 22% to up to a 90% mortality. And Google says it's an 88% mortality, meaning that out of every 100 people that get it, 88% or 88 out of 100 will die. When that happens, then everybody that's will have this Marburg virus released. And again, we know that 22 to up to 90% mortality rate, but that's when somebody encounters it, in a natural way, if you will. When it's inside your body, already introduced and now released within your body, it's probably going to be 100% mortality rate, meaning that everybody that has it, it's going to be triggered and it's going to be released. And when that happens, yes, obviously these people are going to die. And so we're talking, not hundreds of thousands. We're talking about millions and millions of people worldwide. They're going to have this effect.
It's possible that they could come for me because I'm very outspoken about it. But if you ever hear that something happened, that I died, I'm not depressed. I didn't commit suicide. I'm telling you right now that we need to stand up and fight. So just remember, if something happens to me, it's because I've been telling the truth.
But one of them is what they call the Marburg virus, which is.
And we have some disturbing news from Africa. A virus outbreak in 2 African nations has put the world on guard. This too is linked to bats, and it's bringing back fears of how the pandemic began. Of course, nobody wants a repeat, and this one is proving to be deadlier. It's called the Marburg virus. This too is linked to bats.